So there's this really popular advice among mechanics, and it goes something like this. If you come across a tool that you don't have but you need, always buy the cheapest version of that tool first. And if you ever end up using it enough or testing the limits of it enough to break it, then you can buy the more expensive, nicer version of that tool. And over the 15 years that I've been in this hobby, I found that advice to be generally true, even though I don't always follow it. But I don't think that that advice is bulletproof either. I think there are some exceptions to that rule. So today I'm going to talk about what they are. I promise I'm not trying to be controversial, but I really do think there are some items in the garage that you're better off just going with a nicer version of it from the get-go. Let's go. So, as you progress in this skill set or hobby, you're going to find yourself gathering and spending a pretty penny in a fair number of tools. God knows I have. But right now, I'm not here to tell you to buy anything in particular or make specific product recommendations. Rather, I'm just sharing my thoughts on some types of tools that, if you're starting out, I think you should buy the highest quality that you can reasonably afford from the beginning. But if I missed any type of tool that you think that should have been included in this list, go ahead and leave it in the comments. So tool number one, this is the set of ratcheting combination wrenches. If mechanics were painters, these would undoubtedly be the paintbrushes. There's a reason why the common symbol for mechanics is a wrench. This is the tool that is going to be in your hands in most jobs involving a car. So make sure that you're investing a good set, because if you don't, most likely you're going to be getting another set pretty quickly anyway. And in my experience, here are the factors that actually matter when you're deciding which set to buy. Number one is durability. We all know that we're not supposed to use the ratcheting end to break loose bolts, but we all do from time to time anyway. And when we do, we want to make sure that it can handle the abuse. Two, make sure that you're buying at least a 8-piece set, or more ideally a 10 to 12-piece set in either metric or SAE, not combined, and that will cover about 99% of the bolts that you'll find on any car. And three, this one is the thing that most novices don't think about, and it's both the width and the thickness of the ratcheting end. And thinner the better, but usually the thinner ones are going to be more expensive. Thinner wrenches can fit into more spaces where it can come down to millimeters of clearance. So I have a set of wrenches that are made by DeWalt, which, by the way, it's not like the top of the line in terms of quality. I'd consider it more of a mid-tier set, but I chose it because how thin the wall is. Compare this one to the much cheaper one that I had from Harbor Freight, and that's a big difference. Of course, there are other factors and features like number of teeth, reversibility, flexible head, or even the length of the handle, but I just wanted to mention a few factors that I think are the most important. But in summary, do your research, pick a good set from the get-go, because you're going to be using them almost every time you're in the garage. Now, this second item is kind of the opposite in the sense that you won't use it all the time, but it's really important that you have a quality one anyway. It's the cordless half-inch drive impact wrench. While you can get most automotive jobs done with basic hand tools and a breaker bar in an ideal setting, this one power tool is often the difference between a job well done on time and having to explain to your wife why she'll have to Uber to work tomorrow because you were defeated by a rusted stuck bolt. You may not need the impact wrench for every job, but think of this as your lifeline, your phone a friend, or your get out of jail free card. And you should know that there's a big difference between the cheap impact wrenches and the higher quality ones from reputable brands in terms of the power that they generate reliably. And even from the same brand, they can have different tiers of products at different price points, so make sure you do your research on this one. And of course, I'm not suggesting that you go for the most expensive one. I'm just saying that if there's one power tool that I would recommend that you spend a little extra on, make sure it's the half-inch impact wrench. Because when this thing finally breaks loose that bolt that has been crushing your soul and knuckles, you'll forget all about that extra $100 that you spent on getting a proper beast. But you will absolutely regret it if it turns out that the cheap one that you got it doesn't have the muscle to bail you out. Toolset number 3, your jack and jack stands. I have to imagine that this one is kind of self-explanatory, but here we go. I know that a lot of us are learning how to work on cars to save money on maintenance, and that's a very noble objective, and spending a lot on equipment to even rotate the tires can seem counterintuitive. But you know what's way more expensive than an oil change at a dealership? Your funeral, which your weeping family will have to attend when your cheap jack stand with questionable welds fails, and your headstone will read, "He calculated the risks, but boy was he bad at math." A jack and a set of jack stands is your graduation gift for transitioning from changing wipers and air filters to changing oil, doing brake jobs, and the far more serious money-saving jobs. And for a jack, there's no reason to go crazy expensive, but I did find that getting a long-reach, low-profile jack like this one was a huge time saver, and works for every car from low-riding sports cars to tall trucks. Same thing with jack stands, no need to buy the most expensive ones, but invest a little in getting a good quality set of jack stands like this one. Ideally American made, mine weren't, but you know what I mean, and with additional safety features built in. And if you find yourself spending a lot of time underneath the car like I do, or you very frequently need to put your car on jack stands, then you can consider investing in a lift for your home garage, or in my case, I chose to buy these quick jacks, which are definitely expensive, but I really have enjoyed using them over the years and appreciate the peace of mind when it comes to safety. What did you think of this list? Do you agree or disagree? Or what advice would you give to a new novice mechanic just getting started? Let me know in the comments, and if I find that there's a lot more that I could have covered here, I'll make a second video with some more thoughts. So until next time, stay safe, have fun, and take care.